What would you say is the way to stay focused? Because it's very easy to get distracted with constant new opportunities and things, especially if that's where your mindset works.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting we talk about focus because I've recently been diagnosed with ADHD.
Okay.
So I didn't know this, but I actually struggled to focus on one thing at a time. So in school, I really struggled, and I was like in like the bottom sets on everything. I actually thought I was dumb. So I actually thought I was just like very, slow, and I just wasn't smart. But I always knew, yeah, business is my thing. I just knew I'm good at this. How comes none of my peers are doing this stuff that I'm doing? And that kind of stayed with me. So I always knew I'm got my strengths, but it's just not in the written work and the school work. So anyone that's watching, that's, you might be in a similar situation where you're falling behind at school, then don't think you can't be successful. You can, 100%. So,
and sometimes school has a certain way that they measure how successful somebody is. And that success is measured by grades you achieve in exams. But that's one way of measuring someone's intelligence. But our schooling system is such that that's the only way they use to measure intelligence. So, for example, if someone has ADHD, it doesn't mean they're dumb, they're stupid. The way they see, perceive, and do things is different. But you're trying to measure their success in a way that actually doesn't suit them or doesn't fit naturally with them. What's your thoughts on kind of education and the education system generally?
Well, my thoughts on it is that they don't teach us enough about the things we actually need to know. So, for example,
you mean you haven't used calculus in day-to-day life?
No, not at all, Saj, not at all.
Yeah.
Not that I was listening anyway, but they don't teach us about how to work with an accountant, how to do a tax return, what is a tax return, how much tax do we have to pay, setting up a business, how to do that, how to buy a property, what is a solicitor, how do we use them? That there's so many things that we've never been taught.
They're almost like life skills almost. Yeah.
Exactly. And it's kind of like the government's agenda is they want people to be working, just a normal 9-to-5 job. And it's strange that they don't teach it. It's almost like, right, why is their agenda that way? Why don't they want people to set up businesses? Because obviously it will help the economy. So I think the government's got their own agenda. I'm not even going to get into that too much, but yeah.
And how do you see the property market right now? So in the last few years you've been involved, there's certain strategies that you're using. Have you seen that change, evolve? Do you think it's going to change or?
Yeah, so just for a bit of context, my main strategy is HMO conversions. So I'll buy a property, convert it into a HMO. Typically, we don't do extensions that much. We just typically buy the property, a big property, turn it into a HMO, and then get it refinanced as a HMO for its new value.
Yeah, so just to add to that, what you're doing is taking a large family house, reconfiguring the internal space to have multiple people living there in a shared house, and you're changing its use, so the value is then also changed because now it's based on the income.
Exactly. And some of the properties, we can get really high income off. So when they come out to value it, they sometimes give us a commercial valuation. So they'll look at how much income is the property producing. Okay, now we believe it's going to be worth, and it's much higher. Sometimes,
and that number could be way higher than the house next door that looks the same.
Exactly, and a lot of the time it is like 100 grand higher than the next door's house. So yeah, it's definitely been my model. Over the last
it's a license to print money, really. When you understand how that works. Because what the bank is saying to you there, based on how much income you're going to generate, we think your asset is worth this. So we're prepared to lend you a certain amount of money, and that's, I'm guessing, in some cases, all the money that you've put into it. So you're getting, if not most of your cash that you've invested in that project back out.
Exactly, and that's obviously the cream of the crop. That's the thing that we're always shooting for. Sometimes we'll buy just for cash flow though. So like some of my own deals that I do without doing a joint venture, just for myself, I'll just purchase a property just because the cash flow is really high. So I do those ones as well. But most of the time we use the BRRR strategy. But just
explain what that is in the context of what we're talking about.
Yeah, so that's the buy, refurbish, refinance, rent. So basically we're just purchasing a property, converting it into a HMO. or you could just convert it into a nicer house, and then basically renting it out and then refinancing it for its new value, meaning we can pull some money out on the back end. So when the works have been done and we get it valued, the bank will say, right, you bought it for 170, but now we believe it's worth 305. And you can actually pull a chunk of money back into your bank account. Your loan amount goes up, so your mortgage payments go up, but you've got a massive chunk of money in your bank again. So that's typically the strategy I've been doing.
Hey, if you've enjoyed watching this clip, first of all, thank you so much for watching. Make sure you watch the full version on this link here on YouTube, or alternatively listen to the audio version on Spotify, which the link is below.